Hello, everybody. It's Sandra Pelley, the Sandini Inner Dragon Transformation Specialist, Galactic Shaman, and the Dragon Ally. I, again, am always excited to come on and do these sort of things. I think it's it's on the heels of the call to action that we did yesterday, or in the last one about relationships, and we were invited to. Uh, uh, have our little U's and inner dragons write a letter to ourselves. And it's kind of comical because the ones who are here are the ones who definitely did do that. And I energetically can feel that. And my little U is very much about let's continue to play. So I was totally on board with that. And the inner dragon part was, really like, did I walk in awareness of who I am and my power? And even even then, like even in my walking in awareness, my it's so bizarre because it's almost as though it's saying you're unable to even still see just how much there is. And I love that. I love that my inner dragon is really saying, hey, push yourself a little bit more, girl. And I absolutely love that. So I am going to do that a little bit today. Today we're talking about the health guide. And this is one, like if we ourselves are in a situation with our health and we are choosing to let somebody else dictate to us what our health is going to be, that's really unfortunate. I'm consciously aware of the choices I've made over my lifetime of where I've let other people, um, you know, um, not necessarily dictate, but when medical doctors are involved or a governing body, a medical governing body is involved, it's just been really interesting where we give up our own control. And having said that, um, this one's really fascinating to me because I delved a little bit deeper with the health guide. And again, I just really want to remind each and every one of you, the inner child is inside of us, the inner dragon is inside of us, the health guide's inside of us. All of these different guides are a part of us. Yes, we can look at representations of them outside of ourselves as well. So it's easier for the human mind, it seems like, to do that there's this outside representation of what a health guide is. And it's so interesting because even as I'm talking, I'm very vividly getting this image of my and you know what, I'm unsure if I should even be saying of my this beautiful woman who a number of years ago I was having an acupuncture session for an injury or something that was going on. And as I laid there with all these little pins in me, I was very relaxed and I was connecting in with a very specific guide. And today she's showing up and representing herself as my health guide. And it's really fascinating because this guide is possibly an ancestral family member on my dad's side. If you weren't aware of it, I'm Indigenous. I actually have my status up here in Canada. My grandmother was actually raised on Indian land, if you want to call it that, Muskeg Lake Nation, with the Cree background. Now, does that mean that I know a lot about Cree? Sadly, no, because I was definitely raised as a Caucasian, as a white person. Having said that, I love when my ancestors do come in and present themselves in ways like this. And this one, when she first showed herself to me, she was showing me um, when a primarily white man's disease had gone through their community, their village, and had wiped out a lot of people. So this is some time back, obviously, and obviously out of my specific lifetime. But I find it really interesting that as I start to talk about the health guide, she's the one who's choosing to stand up and represent herself as being my health guide. I do also am so consciously aware of my health is, they say put the mask on yourself first in an airplane, right? I'm the one who has to take care of me. So we're going to dive into this a little bit more today and see what comes up. Let's take a few moments to ground ourselves into this beautiful sacred space, though. Okay. So I'm inviting you to take stock of your physicalness currently. Just taking a few breaths and scan your body. And continue to listen to my voice. Even in the few breaths and the scanning of our body, you could feel the settling in, the conscious awareness of being aware of your body. So we're also being invited to step into the I ams with our little U's and our inner dragons, feeling very connected with them in this beautiful space. It's so beautiful because I could feel the image of how they're currently scanning their own physical bodies as well. So just giving them a moment to do that. And stepping into that I am open with no expectations, no limitations. The awareness of the I am creating my outcome. And as we are scanning our physical bodies, as well as the little you and inner dragon are doing the same, and we're like this beautiful energetic body, really asking the mind, body, and soul in all aspects to come together as one and be scanned in this beautiful energy with the health guide. Acknowledge your health guide. That emotional connection that you may have just felt. Yes, that's all right. So we're inviting in a color, an acknowledgement of what that color means for you, the individual. And feeling how you are in this beautiful sacred container yourself with this beautiful energy of your little you, your inner dragon, and the health guide. And it is an opening container, meaning it is not restrictive, that it is unlimited. It has the beautiful sense of I want to use the word containment. I'm unsure if that's the correct word, and also expansiveness. That it can feel, oh, there's the word. It can feel like a cozy space. Yeah. Well, leaning into the feeling of this beautiful sacred container that is the I, the little you, the inner dragon, and the health guide. And feel into the energy of what they may be doing in that space. And some of your questions may already being answered with that, like the understanding of what they're doing. And when you're ready to come back into this space, I invite you back into the eye open and being here. Beautiful. Yeah. I shared at the beginning already about who was coming up just in the speaking of this. Would anybody like to share what they experienced before I share what happened for myself in this space? Okay, Simone, then Elsa.
What I recognize is, can say it's a part of myself, my being, and it shows up like kind of a crystalline light with rainbows. So I didn't have a specific colors. It brought on all of that. And what I get is, it's that part that sees it all, knows it all, and brings the inner child and the dragon into action when needed to show me, hey, you're not in alignment with who you are. It felt that way. So it's like I can communicate with that part without having to communicate with the inner child or the inner dragon, because it's when I'm really connected with who I am. And that's way more than we know on a mighty dimension. And then I know when I'm doing something that is not for my health. And interesting is that in my life, it brought me in a place where I'm not listening to doctors anymore because it doesn't feel right for me. When I grew up, medicine, chemicals didn't work on me. So I could only use biologic stuff. That helped me, but nothing else. Interesting is that when I work with crystals, the same. And what we've been told, and I have a health issue, but I know why it is there. So it's what we are being told isn't true. There is nothing that isn't healable. And you don't need to fix some stuff. It's really look into the issue behind it. And
Yeah, we're going to go into that a little bit further here. So I just want
okay,
to kind of bring it
I
bring
was
it
too
back
ready.
down. But
Sorry.
no, that's okay. I know.
But the energy really is like when you're connected to that, it's bliss. I was just looking for the right. It's a total bliss.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful. I could really feel the energy of go ahead and unmute yourself, Elsa, and I'll bring you on in just a second here. I could really feel the power, Simone, of your acknowledgement of really what I've been saying all along of that yes, we have these aspects to ourself. However, it truly is ourself, and we can address that singular piece if we would like to. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Elsa.
Um, my health guide, I found it very amusing. First thing I saw was a regular nurse with a white mini skirt, but its face, her head was like a teddy bear. So, and then you call the place a cozy place where the teddy bear is nursing me. Ah, and the color was pink, and they were sticking all over my body. Is it called daisy? White flower, little flower
Yeah,
with yeah.
daisies. Yep.
Is it? It's the daisy.
Yep.
They stick it all over my body.
Well, I would definitely look up the symbolism of that flower for you so that you can see what it is. Because I know for myself, sunflowers are super important. So go check it out. Go look and see what that symbolism is of that. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for your share. I'm going to share mine, and then if anybody else would like to as well. It was really interesting because I've got this cup that I'm drinking out of, as you may have seen, and it's got this red inside. And when we were invited to go into this sacred container that is only the self, the inner dragon, the little you, and the health guide. That is the feeling I got was something very, very much like that in interior wise, and yet the color was this baby blue, like this pale blue, and being able to speak speak the truth, see the truth. And my four were literally sitting around, and it was almost as though they were playing a board game with dice. And it was like, oh, let's try this. Oh, let's try that. And it was so interesting to watch them because that is what I've been doing for the last couple of years is let's try this exercise, let's try that exercise, right? And discovering the ones that do want to be incorporated. And same with, foods, whatever. Like my husband and I last night for supper, we had something really out of the box for what I usually cook. And that was literally a half an orange pepper each stuffed with hamburger, ground beef and rice. And then we also had half a big, huge beef steak tomato with cheese on it. And that was our supper last night versus, maybe potato, toast with avocado on it or pizza or other things that we do. So it was just like, it was really interesting, and it was well received from both of us, which is really kind of neat. So it's paying attention to those little nudges that the guidance is coming through. Would anybody else like to share what occurred for them during this little piece that we've already done? Okay.
I ended up as Else mentioned, the first image of my health guide came in as my previous GP, somebody in a white coat. And then I thought, well, it's not just her, but she was really a part of the team. So I think we talked of the medical assistance team, and then it just sort of morphed into more and more. And the color for me was emerald green, which is a healing color, and I felt like I was in a pyramid, like in a crystal pyramid. So I have this, and there's another one here I didn't even realize I had. It's an orgone um, pyramid, and of course it has this. I think it's malachite. It might be. Not the emerald green, but anyway. And then you talk about not necessarily a container, and it just felt like the light was radiating out like it does. It reflects the light, and the light was able to come in and out, and so there was this expansion of that emerald green, and then it morphed into being part of the aurora borealis, which when we see it here, it often is that green. We don't get the reds as much, and so just being part of that cosmic energy that's whether we see it or not, it's happening all the time around the earth.
Thank you.
That was
Um, I,
what
I,
came to mind.
no, I love this. When I was in Sedona one time, I literally sat inside a pyramid that had been created with copper tubing. And so you can imagine yourself inside this in a very powerful way with each of those, like the crystal, the malachite, and what have you as well, right? Very powerful. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Sonia, would you like to share? Or are you not this time? Okay, fair enough. So I just wanted to dive into this a little bit deeper because of the deeper awareness of this. So when I was delving into this, it was like being in, when we, okay, stop and take a breath, Sandra. I want to say a whole bunch and all at once, right? When we were invited to scan the body, it's as though like, and you could do this in two ways, like it's well, multiple ways. I'm going to use two ways as the example. One is that we can go up or down and literally scan our body. Another is that there's a mirrored image of ourselves in front of us, and we can scan the body to see what's going on. And now also to really recognize that health is so many aspects. We're in what's been said already. It comes through as possibly exercising. It comes through in possibly medicines that are being taken. It comes through in the foods that we're imbibing. And then there's our mental health, right? Like, and our spiritual health. There's so many different aspects of this, and there may be a different type of health guide for each one of those. Uh, Barb mentioned the MAP program, and that's a book by Michelle Small Wright. I absolutely love it. That was instrumental in changing my life back when I was going through quite a period where I was doing over-the-counter prescription pills. Over-the-counter pills, not prescription pills, over-the-counter pills, hand over fist, and they were everywhere in my house. It's the medical assistance program, and that's bringing in a medical team, a spiritual medical team. So I love who is showing up for you guys. And there's no right or wrong to this, right? Like, it's truly is about you welcoming in this assistance and whatever that looks like. And in writing, I'm going to allude right now to the call to action that we just did with our inner child and inner dragon in the relationship call. They really invited us to look at ourselves in another way, and it's the same here. Like, it's really with this health guide, we can look at ourselves in a different way. So I really like that idea of the mirrored image. It was so funny because when I saw the mirrored image, it was like I literally saw a mirror that was cut out in the shape of me, and it's so much more than this as well. So one of the things that came through in one of the other calls was this awareness of how the generational or ancestral is affecting today, who we are today. And that comes into play as well as things that we have done. So when we're thinking about the little you, it's really about recognizing where there's memories that are being held in our body, where there's been times where they've been very tired but kept going. Another aspect of this is that feeling in our tummy, and I want to explain that a little bit as well, because that's very much about health. The solar plexus is where I believe the little you is truly housed. And it's in that incredible tight rope that we have in the solar plexus. And we have this ability to very energetically feel something in our belly. Okay. And oftentimes that feeling will come up if we're, say we have to go and we have to have a major conversation with somebody, or we have a doctor's appointment and we're unsure about, or we're about to start something new and we don't know what it's about. We're unable to figure this out without going in there and actually doing these things. And we get a very specific feeling in our belly in that case. Where this comes into health is when you are really falling back into the anxiety and fear of things, rather than stepping into the excitement of things. Now, for anybody who's listening to this, if you have anxiety, I am truly explaining this ideally in a way so you have a deeper understanding of how you might be able to pull yourself out of the anxiety piece. I am by no means playing lightly with anxiety. I've watched my own daughter with anxiety. I've seen other people be debilitated with anxiety. It's a real thing, and it affects the health of the body. And that's why I'm speaking to this, right? When we're aware that we have a choice on how we're going to act, whether we're going to back away, whether we're going to run away, whether we're going to step into something, oftentimes it's self-preservation, or it's, okay, I'm ready to move forward into this, whatever the case is. And that's why I'm speaking about this, is because it is part of the health piece of this. And so the little you has been carrying around all of these bits. This one may be very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? This one may really resonate with you, where you've learned to be quiet. Start to look at that learning to that learned behavior to be quiet as a comfort spot to take a moment to evaluate. Okay. I know when, and it, so my head is going in 50 million different directions. So bear with me here a moment. I'm going to use my relationship with my sister as an example. For a number of years, I was very consciously aware of the very tense relationship between my sister and I. And, I felt like she never invited me to her place. I felt she did this. I felt she did that. I felt this about you, kind of thing, right? And I started to take ownership in some of that. And when I started to take ownership in some of that, what I started to do was go, well, have I been putting up a wall so she is unable to invite me? Have I been acting a certain way, or have I been one who has not been reaching out to her? It's a two-way street. And I really have recognized, I mean, we can all go off on a tangent about, well, we have all kinds of people in our lives who we have no ability to be in contact with unless we're the ones who reach out to them. And that happens consistently in our lifetime. We can make the decision to be the one who reaches out, right? Or we can just let it drop and it is what it is. And we talked about relationships yesterday. And I know for myself, I reach out and I maintain a lot of relationships around me because I really enjoy seeing these people. I enjoy being a part of their lives to whatever degree. I mean, I still have friends from my high school that was 40 years ago, 43 years ago, 44 years ago, that I love. Hey, I'm coming into the city. You want to meet me there for lunch? And they'll come in from wherever they live and meet me there for lunch. And this feels really in alignment with who I am. And so when I think about the relationship that I was having with my sister and that I was not reaching out to her, then I was the perpetrator in this case as well, right? It wasn't just coming from her, it was myself as well. So when I started to look at things like that, then I was started to have a healthier relationship. I started to do for myself what I wanted to have in my life. I would reach out to her. And then we had things happen in our life, and where her and I are now is really remarkable. I may have shared this the other day that I had said something to her about looking at places to live that would be an hour or two away from her, not 15 hours away from her. She literally gasped in joy. This is how far we've come. Like before, I wouldn't even have been able to have a conversation with her. I wouldn't even have told her that I was moving in that direction, right? And this is very relatable to probably a lot of you. So I have moved myself into having a more healthier relationship with myself, recognizing how I act. And if I'm acting in this way with the people that I want involved, and not in that way with others, then why am I not doing it there? And I know I'm kind of going into the relationship side of things. I'm just asking you to kind of recognize that. Another, for instance, in this is being mobile. Okay, if you are doing something and uh, like, how does this want to come through? I could have sat down on my computer this morning right from the beginning of the day and chosen to just be on the computer. Instead, I literally did my dryer with one piece of clothing out to the living room, down to the bedroom, and folded it as I went and put it on the bed. Back out to the living room, back to the dryer, one more piece of clothing. I'm getting my steps in, right? I'm being healthy. I went for a lap around my block. So I had 3,500 steps in before I really sat down at the computer. I had half of my steps in. So it's really being conscious of what's coming up, of the little things that can help you to move forward with your health guide. Pay attention to those small things. I looked in the dryer yesterday to do that same thing, and my dryer was empty. So it's pay attention to the little nudges when they come up so that you can do the things, right? So it's like literally I spent the whole day yesterday at moments wondering what I was going to make for supper. And I did tell you what I made for supper. However, that idea about supper literally came through half an hour before my husband came home. And so I was able to get it together. It was a real quick and easy meal. That's my health guide saying, okay, you know what? You don't need to have a bread and buttered sandwich kind of thing right now. Let's go this route instead, right? And so pay attention to those little nudges. So that's what's going on with the little you in that. And your little you really wants to be heard and seen. So recognize the things that are going on in your body. I want to go off on another small tangent here too around exercise. I know I've been implementing different types of exercises, and it's really fascinating when you start to see the reels start to show up that will help you to look at, oh, I can do that, right? So that again is really things are dropping in for you to be aware of, to step into. The inner dragon piece of this really steps in because it's attentive to those nudges. It's like we're making new choices now, so let's go in this direction. You know, the inner dragon is that one more push that actually has you to do it. Okay. And then that health guide is again the one that's dropping in the little pieces of where your body, your energy, your soul, all of those pieces want to move in that direction. And I feel like this has been out there or something. And so let's pull it back into here, okay? I'm going to invite you guys to close your eyes again. Your little you is so consciously aware of a change that it would like to see happen with your physicalness, with your mental health, with your spiritual health, whatever it is. How is your inner dragon showing you the signs? What has been coming up already? Where's that heightened awareness? And feel into the energy of your health guide. I know I can very energetically, I feel how they're writing up something. It doesn't feel like a prescription. It feels more like keeping notes of what works and what can be let go of is what it feels like. So again, swinging around to what does the little you and inner dragon really want to step into health-wise? In that they may have shown you something that's already come to pass, or they may be showing you something that is coming to fruition, okay? Make a note of that. And I want to give you the example that I was shown. It was quite comical. I've been working on a quilt, and that quilt was one that I thought I was going to be done by the end of last week. And the backing of it is a sheet. It's a sheet that, you know, I'm getting rid of, I'm recycling, reducing, reusing. And so it was a sheet that I had in my closet. Well, as it turns out, I had used the sheet for something else, and there was probably about an inch too short on one of the pieces, and it wasn't even in a straight line. It was kind of crooked. And it's been driving me crazy because it's like, okay, well, I got to find little bits and scraps. And I went and looked at my garbage even, and I pulled out a little piece of scrap of it. I looked everywhere. And so this has been kind of riding on me for 3 or 4 days now. And today I went into my closet to look for something else entirely. Actually, it was like a little a luggage weigh scale thing. And I moved a bunch of stuff, and there was an entire 1.5 foot wide by the entire length of the bed of the exact same sheet that I'm using. Yes. So my mental health was reformed, if you will. Yeah, it just felt really, really powerful to recognize that it's in the very small things, really small things. In the seconds before finding that piece of the sheet, I found a pillowcase, and I thought to myself, I could probably use that. And then I discovered the sheet. So it's just like I was already willingly moving in the direction of feeling better about it, right? Okay, so what's coming up for you guys? Would you like direction in your experience there? Go ahead, Simone.
It was more or less like I'm already on my path. So I'm already doing that. There's nothing else what I need to do. You know, even with what I asked back, you know, I'm not going most of the time I'm at home because of the energies outside.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's not about doing sports or whatever. It's when I have the nudge to walk, I walk for hours. So it's like I'm doing what I need to do. And what came up for me really was because I did that with a letter was the dragon told me there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Mm.
And honestly, in the first, when I read that the first, it's like, wow, that got me. Because I didn't notice that I was ashamed of who I was. I was even shamed in my family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I had to compromise, to hold back, to not be there. And even then, it wasn't entirely gone. And it's really about owning who you really are, stopping to hold back. And interesting is with a body scan, my issue is around these gums. Well, it's a family issue, you can say. And in my life, for me, it happens at a certain time. But when I look at that, what happens and what was going on, you know, I didn't have boundaries because the boundaries I had as a child were already crushed. So I couldn't really be there for myself. And what I did was holding back.
Mm.
So in a way, and I got that realization kind of 2 days ago. I understand why my gums are retreating, because that's exactly what I did. And if you add that, well, what was going on in my family, that life isn't safe, well, you know, you get that stuff. You get it shown that there isn't support or safety. Honestly, it isn't true. I don't have the support from my family. That's true. And I don't think I will ever get it, because they're not in that place,
Right.
even really support themselves. So it's not about that. It's really noticing that first is I support myself now, because I look at myself differently. And it's really, I think what's now is sorting out what isn't actually mine, because I carry it around a lot. And that habit of holding back
Yeah.
in that various aspects. And it's really what I just did now was when I noticed it's like that burden belt of being ashamed and being shamed to
Yeah.
let it drop, because it's a story and it's about me. Do I accept that story that is reached out to me, or just do I let go of that? Because in the truth is there is nothing to be ashamed of. And it's me who makes the choice what I want to live. It's not my family, it's myself.
I can see how this could be expanded on in so many different directions. Like there's a lot to unpack there, and you have willingly stepped onto that path, and you're like, I love your conscious awareness. It's really beautiful to witness. I'm going to swing it back around to the physical piece of this and the gums and the energy of oh gosh, how does this one come through? Uh, it's so interesting because I feel like my gums are doing what I'm want to ask of you to do. It's so fascinating because I can just feel this energy happening all through the exterior of my gums on the outside. And it's this energy thing. So I'm just going to take you off spotlight for a second. I want to expand on this to explain it a bit more, okay? So let's say there is a broken bone. That's probably a little bit easier to go with. And say the bone is broken, and you create this beautiful energy bone piece that's in that space where the bone is broken. This is what I'm asking you to do, or what's being guided, is to feel the energy of how the gums energetically are where they are to be. That even though they may, when you look in your mouth, look as though they're receded, energetically, the energy of them is actually in the space where, if you were to say somebody was normal, had normal gums, I just like saying it that way. However, I'm sure we all know what I mean by this. So, in essence, it's the same thing. Like I'm just feeling a real fullness of my gums right now, because I too have places where they are physically receding. And I could also buy into that, well, my mom's did. And I'm not sure about further down the lineage. And energetically, though, what I'm feeling right now is I'm just feeling this really interesting energy in my mouth because of what you've brought up. Okay, Simone? So, and we can do this with anything, you guys. That's the power that we have. Okay? Thank you for letting me share that, Simone. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else in a space where they feel comfortable sharing?
I just wanted to add for Simone and an experience of another friend, and Sandra, you know her too, and I'm not sure if she even discussed this with you. How, yeah, she just when it comes to the physical aspect of her teeth, and I'm not sure what the issue is. She's got dental issues and gum issues and whatnot, and has to go to the dentist. Anyway, she ended up going on a yoga retreat for a month, She usually goes away for a month in the winter. And she came back and went to her dentist, and the hygienist is like, well, what did you do? Like whatever was going on had improved significantly for, within whatever that period of time was, for her hygienist to ask her what supplements she had taken, which, whatever she had tried. And it didn't even dawn on this lady until that was mentioned to her. But she just felt it had to be whatever the energy was that she allowed herself to be in for this month at this yoga retreat. It was down in the Baja. And, whether it was just being in that space, the energy of the space, or her mindset, she didn't really need a specific answer to that, but just recognizing that there was that change in and the shift in that energy of herself, of where she was, and had this distinctive physical improvement. So it's like it's changed her whole thing. It's like, oh, well, I don't really need to worry about all these other things and whatnot. That just the power of our own energy and our own mindset, and even taking it away from that physical aspect, but the being open to being in that loving, receiving space was enough to trigger a healing physically in her body.
I love that. That's a very powerful share. Thank you. I want to, I could go on and expand on that in so many different ways. We have such incredible power to heal. So once I was on a bike trail and I thought I was going to be able to go down this one place. Sadly, that was not the case. And I ended up attempting to run off my bike because my bike was already in motion over, and I attempted to run over it and caught both my feet on the handlebars and landed full bore, full weight on my knees, right? And we were in a significant distance. And in the moment, it was like I had no idea if I was even going to be able to get out of there because my knees were in so much pain, right? And it came to me in like a blinding light or something like that. Do your work with your hands, right? So it's like pay attention to the nudges. Really pay attention to the nudges. Like Barb was speaking so much about this unconscious or subconscious healing that's going on. Like when I know of the woman which she speaks, and she went with this very, very much in a I'm open with no expectations and no limitations mindset. And with that, she came back healed to a certain degree without actually even putting it out there that that's where she needed healing, right? Like she gave herself over to the power of whatever was there to do what it needed to do or what it wanted to do with her body, with her physical body. And that's the same when we get those nudges, like I did with my hands on my knees at that case. Like I was pulling in the light. I was asking for healing on my knees. I managed to ride out of there. You should have seen what my knees looked like the next day. It was not a pretty thing. It was quite painful. However, in the moment, I was directed to do something and pay attention to those nudges. That's really what that health guide is all about. It's asking you to pay attention. And there's been some descriptions here about generational. There's been some descriptions here about mental health, uh, uh, the both anxiety and just driving yourself crazy because you want to get this project done or something like that. Each of these things, and then the physical aspects. What am I putting in to my body? The emotional health. All of these bits and pieces are so very, very important. If you were to walk away from this class and the only thing you got out of this was to pay attention to the nudge, my job would be done. Anybody have anything they want to question or add? Yeah, Else.
Can you describe more about nuts? Nuts. What
Nudge.
you...
Nudge. Nudge. It's like I'm going to poke you That's a nudge. If I'm poking you, say you were sitting beside me and you were falling asleep and I bumped you with my elbow, that's a nudge. Okay, thank you. It's a English word, probably North American word. It's a
Sort of
cue.
a
It's a
gentle
cue or
prompt
clue.
or a gentle pay attention, just a
Pay attention.
gentle
Yeah.
nudge, push, gentle push.
And there she uses the word nudge. Yeah. It was quite comical, and I'm going to just give you another example of this. We had children at Chernobyl children come out, and this one beautiful girl, she stayed with us, and she was asking. She was always asking something, and I would say stuff along the lines of, "Okay, get your stuff organized, and we'll go do some stuff." And I kept using the word stuff, and finally she goes, "What is this stuff?" And so then I had to attempt to describe what stuff was. And it's very similar to nudge, right? Like nudge is kind of just like a word that's a filler for a bunch of things. So yes, definitely. I'm so glad you asked that, Else, so that you have a better idea of what I mean, because it's paying attention to those little cues and clues, those little pokes, those little the numbers on the clock, the different thought pattern that suddenly comes in. I love what you just wrote in there too, Barb. The synonyms for nudge are brush, kiss, a touch, a shave, a skim, a caress, a graze, a pat. And then sometimes we get the bigger nudges, the hit, the knock, the bump, the slap, the smack, the punch, the impact, and the whack. For me, when I went over my handlebars, um, uh, and was then shown about the power in my hands, it was kind of one of those moments where I had been experiencing a lot of pain in my hands for some time. And that brought it home, the healing in my hands. I was supposed to really start to pay attention to the healing in my hands. That was a bump, a slap, a whack, an impact nudge for me. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Simone.
And nudge can be in a different way, because I'm not there tomorrow because I read something. I was on Facebook. I was for once scrolling, what I never do. It's like, am I interested in what other people write? Nope. But there came something up about a healing. And interesting is it's exactly about the gums, teeth, and the jawbones. So it's like, oh, I have to go there. So when something comes up, you have the feeling. You have to follow that. You have to do that. Follow it. Because you have it for a reason. It's important for you then.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. It's the sign that's showing you the direction to move in. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you guys are feel complete, this one, I'm sitting here on the other side, just in this really conscious awareness of how differently I've been going through these guides versus the last time, back to 6 years ago. And I love that awareness of where I'm at with this and where each of you guys are aware. I was very consciously aware when we started this, we grounded and we were automatically little you inner dragon health guide. There was no, okay, I'm going to ask you now to connect with your, like, yeah, this goes to show how far along we are. We just do now. Okay. There's none of this questioning how to do it. We just do it now. So pay attention to those small things that are asking you to do something or to stop from doing something. Okay. Tomorrow's the I won't say the fun one, but it's the one I imagine some of you have been waiting for. The replay will be up on YouTube after the fact as well if you're unable to make it to this live. And it's the money guide. It's the money guide. So we'll see what unfolds there. Have a magical day, everybody. Okay? Know that I support you. Love you guys. Take care.